Geopolitics 2026. Never a dull moment. Remember 3D chess? Well, that's a kid's game comparing to what we are currently observing between US, Europe, China, and Iran. So let's unpack what's happening. So until pretty much this very moment, many people were concerned over Strait of Hormuz being closed since it does impact oil prices, which it absolutely does, respectively impacting inflation, stagflation risks, and raising prices of absolutely everything in a matter of a couple of months. This is scenario and layer one. In this case, of course, it will impact the most people working average or below average wages, right? However, there is few more consideration to this point. Outside of this being purely oil play, think of it this way. There is US and let's say Western powers, and there is BRICS that actually emerged as a waiting out power towards the US. Okay? Because originally European Union was created to outweight or balance off the US power. However, that mission was failed miserably, I would probably say, is a fair assessment, and nonetheless, it was not only Europe who wanted to balance off the powers with the US, it was also emerging markets. China, Russia, Brazil, India, and quite a few others have joined, okay? But stay with me. Obviously, US understands the situation, but what can they do? Trump, or for the fair statement, whoever would have been as a United States president at that point in time, he cannot do anything about Xi, right? He will have to go and meet Putin with all due respect. India has stated all what they think about US pressure already, I believe. Brazil, too big to fail to an extent. So Iran did seem like a good option to prove the US powers, because again, we are still living in petrodollars economy, and US dominance to a large extent is based on the dominance of dollar. So again, Iran seemed like a decent play to reiterate US global dominance, right? Because they have been under sanctions since late 70s, and pretty much there was no major developments. The region seemed to be rather stable. However, Iran has their own opinion about the global dominance. Not to mention that also Iran is part of a BRICS bloc and has been heavily supported by China and Russia. So just to make it very clear, Iran is absolutely not interested in supporting US global dominance because they've been oppressed by the US within the last 30 years or so, okay? And currently already Iran has shared their 10 points of conditions under which Strait of Hormuz will be open. One of which is a toll of 2 million per every single ship. Just to give it a sense of numbers, it might feel like a lot, but most of tankers, they would carry oil for like 200 to $1 billion in them, so it's pretty much like just a passing Strait of Hormuz will be at the price of the average insurance per every tanker. Okay? Obviously, Iran's top 10 list of requirements will not be fully accepted by the US. It's a normal negotiation practice. However, even if 50% of what they are asking and will come to life, which also covers sanctions dismissal, investments to Iran, reopening, etc., it will already be a huge success delivered after nearly 50 years in heavy sanctions achieved within a few weeks of war with the US. But for the US, that would cause a lot of problems to accept it, even though it is the most powerful nation in the world. So that's a layer 2 to the situation. And now I want to cover a layer 3. We live in a world where everything is so tightly connected that sometimes it is difficult to foresee the consequences of major actions done sometimes by very smart people. And the thing is, US, Iran, China, Russia, Brazil, South Africa, and so on and so forth, they might seem like a separate, independent players on a global arena, but reality is there is BIS. BIS stands for Bank of International Settlements. Essentially, that's a central bank of central banks. It's a structure that's above all the governments, that does not comply at large with any laws, and it manages how different countries, including the most powerful ones, manage their money. And geopolitics, my friends, is all about money. Okay? And I'm pretty sure there are some very interesting ties towards it. And also I want to cover as a last thing here is reaction of Europe towards Trump's request to join war in Iran and support. Why they're not supporting? Well, let's circle back to the fact that right now dollar has global dominance. However, originally European Union was created to outweigh and balance off the powers of the US dominance. And obviously de-dollarization is not a one-night process. But think of it this way. Obviously, yuan is very strong right now and is not going anywhere. But if dollar goes anywhere, what else do we have? Euros, my friends. On this wonderful note, I'll keep you posted, and let's see tomorrow new news from the US. Cheers. Bye.